Hey, this is Brother Radford. I thought we would do a video for this week's kickoff and so you can announcement so you can see a bit more about this lesson. So this week you're going to see that there's a bit of change overall in the course. The online course coordinator has decided to change your due dates for the readings. They want you to have read the chapter by Tuesday the 23rd. As you can see, that is highlighted here. Both the reading quiz and the chapter are due earlier than the end of the course. So hopefully that doesn't throw you guys off. Hopefully it will help you do these other assignments and keep you on pace. And then on Thursday, they have created the current event being due so that you can stay on course as well. And then on Saturday, the lesson assignment packet is due. So keep that in mind. That's a change, and I think it's important. The other important change that's happened is as you read the chapter, take notes, but they have extended the time to 15 minutes, and they have allowed you to have an open book, open notes on your quiz. Hopefully that'll help you guys have some better scores there for the chapter reading and quizzes. So I want to get into this a bit about the current events. You guys did a great job on that last week. Just two things. Please use current events that correlate to the chapter. That is something that I probably wasn't clear about. So this week it's about civil rights and civil liberties. There'll be plenty of conversations in the news about that. So be aware of that. Also on the current events, some of you did not provide the link. Well, not some of you. There was a lot of interest in marijuana as well. It was kind of funny. It's an interesting thing from last week about federalism versus states, and that is an interesting issue, so I get it. But the other thing that I noticed there was consistency about from a number of you was forgetting to put the link in. I didn't really count you down on points on that this week, but going forward, just be aware that we need that link so that we can look at the actual news item. The other thing that I wanted to look at here was the lesson assignment, so that you can kind of get a view of what that is. This week, pay attention to these times, so that you give yourself enough time. I think that if you read the chapter early and get things going there, you will have the right amount of time to work on these after Tuesday and Thursday, after you've done the current events. The Employee Bill of Rights is kind of fun. There will be a funny example, so at the bottom about donuts and workplaces. But take some time and think through this. It is kind of fun to create rights out of whole cloth. That's what our founders did with the Bill of Rights, and so you're going to do the same thing about your employment and where you work. Okay, and then the next part is report on a civil liberties case. They're going to ask you to actually read court cases from the Supreme Court that have an impact on civil liberties. And so much of the rights that we enjoy as citizens of this country don't only come from the Bill of Rights, but then when those rights have been challenged by the government, and when the government also puts you in a position where that had to be tested by the Supreme Court. So be aware of that, and I think this will be one of your first chances for some of you to actually read court cases from the Supreme Court and the dissenting opinions. So read all of it, and I think you'll find that it's very interesting. So the next activity is you will look at some websites. Some of this is about Janet Napolitano, I think is how you pronounce the secretary's name. And I think you'll find that interesting. The First Amendment test, and realize that this test really isn't your knowledge of the First Amendment just based on the reading of the First Amendment, but overall knowledge of the court cases from the First Amendment. And I think one of the things that you need to start to formulate in your head is that the Constitution is not a document that you can look at and figure out everything based on what's said in the document. The Constitution has to be looked at from the standpoint of the court cases that have been reviewed by the court and how it interacts with the Constitution. And so I think throughout this lesson you'll reiterate that fact, and I think that's good for us to remember. All right, and then read the Council on Foreign Relations report on terrorists and the internet, and you may find the report at the following link. I think that is an interesting civil liberty question, safety versus civil liberties, and, can we perfectly protect ourselves? Probably not, but what is the right balance? And then the last section will also be on listening to a podcast, and then reading about Occupy Wall Street, and then answering the questions in your packet. And so I do think that this lesson will challenge you just a bit in terms of time, and so I would get at it early and keep at it throughout the week. Do follow the reading for Tuesday so you're done with that, and see if you can't get that out of the way first so that you can work on some of these assignments. This is the format for the Employee Bill of Rights, and like I said, do one humorous one for us. And the report on the civil liberties case: what was the court's ruling? What do you agree? Why or why not? What did you learn about Supreme Court cases from reading these? So that's good. So look through those. Which of the following is not explicitly protected by the First Amendment? So, there's a lot of questions here that will be from that quiz. So, how and why do terrorist organizations use the internet? So these are interesting questions, and I think hopefully you'll have some interesting thoughts on that. Are there farmers? There's a, I think there's a, that's kind of interesting. So, are the protesters looking for civil rights or civil liberties? And what does each story have in common? What are the differences? And share an epiphany or thought. So that's a look at the week this week. So I hope that you take some time and be aware of what's happening on the course, and just keep at it. It's been fun to read what you guys have to say and what you guys have been doing. So there's lots of things to remember as you go through this week, but these are important things. Civil liberties and civil rights, it's very important. So I hope that you guys walk away with some new thoughts about that, and that you can tie those back into why we're taking this course and why this course matters for you. So good luck this week, and have fun while you're going through this, and enjoy it.